Peggy 3.
Welcome back to another Boot Room. Every week I'm joined by Match Magazine's Darren Cross with more FIFA 13 tips. And this week we're covering skill games, which can be quite tricky, can't they, Darren?
Yeah, the skill games are really useful, but they do obviously get quite difficult as you progress through the level. So we've got a few tips today to help you with that.
Now, we haven't got time to go through all those games, so let's just cover the gold games. What's the first one you've got for us?
The first one is the gold ground pass, which is a really fun skill game, but it can be quite tricky if you rush it.
And mainly it's those defenders that get in your way that make it really hard.
Yeah, there's a couple of things really. So it's on manual passing settings, so you've kind of got that to think about, but then also you've got defenders that are actively trying to block your pass from going through the gates. So the main tip for me is to get the line of the pass right first. So if you're not used to manual, that can really help you. So press LB to stop your player when you're in a direct line with the gate. Then all you've got to do is wait for the defenders to move out of the way and then go for the ground pass.
Okay, let's move on to the next skill game, the Lob Pass.
Yeah, this is effectively a crossbar challenge, so it's a really good fun skill game again. And it's really not that difficult, so you shouldn't have too many problems progressing with it. I think the key with this is to pick a point on the pitch that you take your first sort of lob pass from, and then it's just about trial and error. So if you hit the ball over the bar, then take a bit of power off when you kick it again from the same point. And if it's under the bar, put a bit more power on and just keep doing that really as you move through.
Have you got any other little cheeky tips for that game?
Yeah, I find it's easier to get really close on the very first attempt. So I'll run right up to the end of the box, hold LB to stop my player, and then just tap the lob pass button, and often I'll get the bar on the first attempt there.
So that's the Lob Pass covered. What about dribbling?
Yeah, next is the gold dribble challenge, which is my favourite of all the skill games. It's kind of like a dribbling assault course, but with a really tough challenge at the end. And the whole thing's quite difficult actually, so I think it'd be best if we go through it step by step.
Yeah, let's have a look at it.
Yeah, so you should be used to moving through the slaloms by now. I then stop myself with LB and use a slow dribble around the cone. And then it's a rainbow flick to get over that bar there. Not a lot of people do that, they tend to just run through the bar, and obviously you get bonus points there for the trick. Simple move around the cone, and then it's right stick through this gate, accelerate away, stop myself again, use the slow dribble to move around this cone. I've got another rainbow flick coming up, but this time it's in a slightly different direction.
Very nice.
Get a few extra points for that. Round another cone. This next one, I think there are a few ways to do it, but I do the flick up, which is LT, and then 3 times up on the right stick to get me over that.
Good timing there.
A few slaloms here. I tend to use the left trigger here to slow myself down if I start to lose control of my direction. It's just a really nice way to sort of readjust, and then you can start to accelerate again as you move through these slaloms. You see, I just catch one there, but I'm not penalised. One final cone to move around, then it's this really tricky part. First one I don't accelerate, I just jog through, stop myself with left bumper, line myself up with those 3 gates, push through with the right stick, just catch the last one, but manage to go around the keeper and score for extra points at the end.
And it's in the net, and unfortunately, yeah, you just nicked that last pole there at the end, 100 points off.
Yeah, it's very difficult to do that one flawlessly, but you only need 8,000 points to move through, and I think I ended up with 14,000, so it was just about okay.
Let's move on to the glory part of the game, shooting.
Yeah, the gold shooting skill game is really good because it gives you the opportunity to practice flare shots, and actually you get a lot of extra points for hitting the targets with a flare shot. One of the things I like to do is to go for things like diving headers and overhead kicks, and I do that by moving my player before the ball gets to him, by holding both triggers down to sort of manually control his movement, and then I can sort of line myself up for a diving header as you see in this clip, or for an overhead kick or a flare volley and things like that.
What tips do you have for actually hitting the targets? Because sometimes, of course, you may miss, or it would just go into the centre of the goal and you won't get as many points. Yeah,
I mean, there's a little bit of trial and error involved, but this one isn't on manual shooting, so it's not too difficult to hit the targets. You just need to hold the left stick in the direction of the corners, and then whether you go for the upper corner or the lower corner depends on how much power you put on the shot when you connect with the ball.
Now, we've also got advanced shooting, and this is all about going around the keeper, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's kind of about beating the keeper in different ways, but certainly you're rewarded for going around the keeper, and that's one of my favourite things to do in the game. You know, it's a preferred method of mine to go around the keeper if I can. And you get the opportunity to practice that in this drill. It's a really good fun one. Like I said, it's all about, if you are going to go around the keeper, getting the timing right. I find sometimes a quick change of direction just before he gets to you helps, and then you hit the right stick just before he commits to the dive. Then it's all about just taking the ball around him and making sure you finish for extra points.
And you can actually win a penalty here, can't you, and get extra points for that
Effectively,
as well?
yeah. If you move around the keeper and he fouls you, then you should be awarded bonus points for that. So as long as you get around him in the first place and move through those gates, then yeah, you'll be on to some points.
Do Do you try using any skill moves like rainbows as well?
Yeah, you can use rainbows, you can use roulettes. There's all different ways to beat the keeper, and I think that's what this drill really encourages you to try and dream up different ways to get around him and score extra points.
Now let's talk about the goal crossing skill game. That can be quite tricky, but you've got a method that can achieve quite high points.
Yeah, so this is a good one for trying out the low cross and the ground cross with either a double tap of the cross button or a triple tap. And the way I like to hit the targets is to line myself up with them first, use LB to stop my player, and then go in a straight line and aim for the targets, and then either double tap or triple tap the button to hit the bins or the targets.
And I guess, are you playing with power again with that, or is it mainly the angle and where your player is on the pitch?
Yeah, the direction of the cross is probably the most important thing. You know, you really need to line that up first before you go for it, and that's really going to help you. But I think you only need about 7,000 points to move through this one, and you should find that not too tricky using this method.
Now the gold free kick skill game is all about mixing your free kicks up, isn't it?
Yeah, and bringing other players into play, which is really good practice for when you win free kicks in the game, because it helps you to keep your opponent guessing. The first thing I do here, as you see, is play the fourth player in and then go for that target that's just off the centre of the goal. Once you've got that, you can then sort of start to take the other targets out and vary the method that you do that with. So you can see I have some players running over the ball. Occasionally I'll pass it into one and then go for the big target just to the edge of the 6-yard box. It really rewards you for mixing your free kicks up, and that's what this one is all about.
Any other tips for getting the highest points?
Yeah, I'd say make sure you've picked the best free kick taker. Obviously, it's kind of a simple one really at the beginning, but that's really going to help you. And then, like I said, it's just really varying it. You'll see later on in this, I go for the sort of dink over the cone and then the sort of long shot from there, which again, I think if that had hit the target, I would have got a nice point bonus there. So just mix them up, try different things out, and you'll do okay.
Darren, tell us all about the gold penalty skill game.
Yeah, this one's all about practicing stutter pens, which can be really tricky. The first thing I do here is go for those hard to reach targets in the corners while I've got the blue reticle available. So initially I'll move the reticle up as my player is running towards the ball, and then it's just a case of going left or right once those targets become active. And I just think that's a bit quicker than leaving the target in the centre and then moving it diagonally. I think you get there a bit faster. Once the top targets are out of the way, I then go for one of the bottom corners, and then of course once you've hit two, you lose the aiming reticle, and it's all about you sort of perceiving how fast that aiming reticle is moving and going from there.
And I guess that's why you take out the outer targets first, because it's a lot easier to aim down the middle of the goal than the edge.
Absolutely, yeah. If I didn't have that target helping me out on those first couple, it'd be very tricky to get the ones in the corner, because you can't really, it's very difficult to gauge how fast it's moving until you're used to it.
Thanks for those tips, Darren. What are we looking at next time?
Next time we're going to take a look at how to end a losing streak.
Excellent, it's happened to me and it's not a big deal. I'm sure it's happened to everybody. Right, that's it for the Boot Room. Don't forget you can catch Darren Cross in Match Magazine every Tuesday. Details of their Facebook page are on screen now. We'll see you next time on the Boot Room.